In the heart of a forgotten town named Raven's Hollow, two landmarks stood like sentinels of despair. The old granite quarry, now a murky pool swallowed by nature, and the infamous Blackwood Manor. This sprawling Victorian edifice, with its gables and turrets resembling skeletal fingers clawing at the heavens, had long been a monument to a tragedy so profound that the townsfolk had striven to erase it from memory. For 60 years, the manor had stood empty, a ghostly silhouette against the sky, echoing whispers of a horrific past. In the 1920s, the Blackwood family, Alistair, a ruthless industrialist, his elegant wife Eleanor, and their 3 young daughters, had met an unimaginable fate within those very walls. The official narrative claimed a botched robbery ended in bloodshed, but the hushed town murmured a darker tale. Driven mad by the crushing weight of financial ruin, Alistair had taken an axe to his family before surrendering to his own despair, hanging from the grand chandelier that had once illuminated joyous gatherings. The air in that house was thick with sorrow, as if the very bricks had absorbed their grief. No one had dared to reside there since, until now. Lena, a passionate historian and architectural restorer, saw past the grim tales to the hidden beauty beneath the layers of decay. With her life savings, she purchased Blackwood Manor, determined to breathe life back into its haunted halls. Her husband, Mark, a pragmatic engineer with little patience for the supernatural, remained supportive but skeptical. Their 12-year-old daughter, Chloe, stood at the threshold of fascination and fear, her eyes wide with the conflicting emotions the manor stirred. The first week was a whirlwind of dust and discovery. The sheer scale of Blackwood Manor loomed over them, a labyrinth of rooms and secret passages that twisted in defiance of logic. The air was perpetually cold, a bone-deep chill that clung to them, even as the furnace struggled against its icy grasp. It was on their second night that the weeping began. Lena was roused from a fitful sleep by a sound, a soft, muffled sobbing that seemed to flow from the very walls, a heartbroken cadence like the ebb and flow of a distant tide. She shook Mark awake, her voice a whisper laced with urgency. "Do you hear that?" He strained to listen, dismissing it with a sigh. "It's just the wind, Lena. Old houses make all sorts of noises." But to her it was no mere wind. It sounded like a woman lost in despair. The following day, Chloe came rushing to them, her face pale and ghostly. "I saw a girl," she stammered, her eyes wide with disbelief, "in the garden. She was wearing an old-fashioned white dress. She waved at me, and when I waved back, she wasn't there anymore." Mark scoffed, attributing it to a trick of the light. Yet Lena felt a cold knot of dread coil in her stomach. She began to delve deeper into the manor's history, spending hours at the local historical society. She unearthed stories of Eleanor's talent as a pianist, and the laughter of their daughters, Charlotte, Margaret, and little Abigail, once echoing through the grand halls, now steeped in silence. The phenomena intensified. Doors slammed shut with violent force, and the air was often filled with the scent of roses, Eleanor's favorite, only to shift moments later to the metallic tang of blood. It was Mark, the staunch skeptic, who began experiencing unexplainable phenomena. Tools vanished only to reappear in bizarre locations. One fateful afternoon, while working alone in the dim basement, he heard the unmistakable sound of children's laughter, echoing through the stone corridor, followed by the patter of small feet. When he investigated, he found only the dust-laden shadows of forgotten memories. The weeping grew louder and more incessant, no longer confined to the night. Lena would scrape wallpaper in the bedrooms, only to hear it, clear as day. On the other side of the wall, a woman's grief-stricken sobs filled the air. Driven by a desperate need to understand, Lena turned her focus to the master bedroom, the very room where Alistair and Eleanor had slept. As she peeled away the ugly floral wallpaper, her scraper caught on something, revealing faint, frantic cursive etched into the plaster beneath. He is not himself. The shadows speak to him. God forgive him. He doesn't know what he's doing. Lena staggered back, blood running cold through her veins. These were Eleanor's final words, a desperate testament scratched into the wall with a hairpin or piece of jewelry, then hidden beneath layers of wallpaper. That night, the house erupted in chaos. It began with the piano in the music room, its rusty strings vibrating to life, playing a single, dissonant chord, struck again and again with mounting fury. Bang, bang, bang. Then the laughter began. Not joyful, but twisted. A manic echo that reverberated off the walls, melding with the chaotic piano and the now wailing sobs of a woman. Chloe's terrified scream pierced their hearts as they rushed to her room. She was pressed against the headboard, pointing a trembling finger at the wall where the vintage wallpaper began to twist and shift, forming the anguished faces of 3 little girls. Mark, finally breaking, shouted, "We're leaving, now!" They grabbed Chloe and bolted for the staircase. But the house had other designs. The front door was locked tight, the heavy deadbolt sliding shut from the inside, as if the house itself conspired to keep them within its grasp. The windows remained frozen, as if fused shut. A bone-chilling cold enveloped them, their breath misting in the air. From the top of the stairs, a figure emerged from the master bedroom, a tall shadow holding an axe-like object, gliding down the hallway as if defying gravity. Yet, as the fear welled within Lena, something within her ignited, a surge of protective fury. She stepped forward to confront the shadow. "Eleanor," her voice rang out, cutting through the cacophony. "He's gone. He can't hurt you anymore. But we are here. Let us go." For a moment, everything halted. The piano fell silent, the laughter ceased, and the shadow froze. Then from the very wall beside Lena, the weeping shifted. The sobs softened, transforming into a singular, clear whispered word that resonated from the plaster. "Go." With a sound like a heavy sigh, the front door swung open. A stagnant wave of cold air expelled them onto the porch, the door slamming shut behind them with a final, deafening crash. They never returned to Blackwood Manor, selling it for a fraction of what they had paid, the new owners blissfully ignorant of the horrors that once dwelled within. The house still loomed on the hill, dark and silent, a guardian of unspoken memories. Yet, on restless nights, Lena sometimes wakes, convinced she can hear it, the faint, distant sound of a woman weeping. Not in sorrow, she reassures herself, but in gratitude. And on the anniversary of their escape, she receives a single dried rose petal in the mail, with no return address, a reminder that some houses are haunted not just by ghosts, but by memories so powerful they can reach out from beyond their brick and mortar walls, and that forgiveness, even after death, can be the only key to